every minute, every second that the tracking platform is down, it's losing tracking from users that are passing through the system. So that means loss of revenue, loss of attribution. And it's very important that in terms of paid media, whoever is spending money to send traffic to the operator, that particular user arrives then at the destination, which is registration and deposits on that particular operator.
You're listening 15 Minutes Mastery, a show where leading iGaming experts share real, practical insights on growth, strategy, and performance. Stay with us for more expert insights.
Hi, good morning. My name is Cutajar. My main expertise is in tech and iGaming, the different affiliation streams, and how tracking works as well. My main role currently is that of a CTO, but also I'm an independent consultant, helping other companies in terms of scaling up their tech platforms and also in SEO. My experience varies between big companies in terms of affiliation, so being Catena, Highlight Media, and also Media Troopers currently, and being also with an ISP, with Go, which is the local largest ISP provider, and also with CompuTime, who is a systems integrator providing services in terms of security, networking, and also systems. And today's topic, it will be about advanced affiliate tracking and data management.
What is causing cookie-based tracking to fail across iGaming today?
So one of the main issues that was dragged from the past, it's a legacy issue, is that of cookies. So cookies, something that drops a small data piece of file on the personal device, and over there it stores the information. This worked very well when attribution was being granted on a first click basis. Nowadays we are switching to the last click basis, and obviously the cookie is not yet that much valid. Also with in-app traffic and other kind of mobile device, cookies are becoming less useful over there. So we are switching away from cookie-based tracking and switching to server-to-server tracking in order to also comply with new browser restrictions like Chrome, Safari, and also Firefox are declining third parties. Chrome will be following in the coming years as well. So we need to adapt our platforms to comply with modern browser technologies.
How does server-to-server postbacks solve the accuracy problems that cookies create?
So one of the most important way how to track players is to send information between the advertiser and the affiliate. How is this provided? There is information that is sent via the browser itself, which is from the front facing. We send this information via backend. So that is why the term server to server postback. It means sending information at the backend between the servers, and the affiliate is receiving information from the operator, from the advertiser, that a particular player registered, that a particular player has performed a deposit, or it became a qualified player for attribution. And that is very important to maintain a flow rather than basing on the old legacy cookie, as we mentioned it earlier. And also there were issues related to maybe cookie stuffing, where some malicious affiliates could abuse of such cookie old technology. And from there, obviously, we adapted to something better, which is at the back, to avoid also these kinds of attacks from the front end part.
What are the most common mistakes an operator make when setting up parameter mapping?
We see these kinds of mistake mainly from especially young or operators that have just launched their first product. Missing parameters, or the tracking link is not correctly set. They are eager to send traffic and actually start to operate, and they don't test fully that the tracking is working from A to Z. So obviously what happens? They push affiliates to start sending traffic. Affiliates open their traffic towards the operator, and either attribution is not done correctly, players are not tracked, or else the platform itself doesn't support volumes that the affiliates are sending. So it's very important to start with a test phase initially. You open the traffic for slow volumes, lower volumes rather than the big flood. Check that the full flow of the user journey is being recorded. So if it's an app, you're recording the install, you're recording the registration, and you're recording the deposit. If it's a CPA, you need to record the qualified deposit event. If it's a rev share, you need to calculate well the rev share part that is being promised to the affiliate. And all this is done initially before sending the larger volumes that, if are not tracked correctly, will create issues between the affiliate and the operator. Because the operator will start saying, I'm not seeing those conversions. The affiliate will start saying, I sent you those players. So it creates a bit of spark over there, or friction between the two parties, and ideally that is not arrived at that point because the full flow is tested earlier. Things can happen during obviously the campaign running, but ideally we try to identify any issues before any large volumes start to send. Obviously, if it's paid media traffic, every click costs money. So it's very important to make sure that the tracking is in place. And also, we identified issues in the past where some operators don't provide the full, let's say, tracking link, or they miss some parameters. So it's very important that testing is done initially, and after the testing is completed, then you can continue with the normal campaign flow.
What methods are the most accurate for data fetching for operators?
It depends also what the operator is providing in terms of dashboards from data, what kind of data, and actually it's the affiliate software that they are using. There are some which provide the API, which is a call that you can call this link, and it gives you structured data. Rather than you see just in a website, it's in a format called JSON. And over there, then the system can parse it and store it on their databases. That's the best setup, let's call it that way. Even in the API phase, not all softwares are providing all the required information. So some software provide one kind of structure, another software provide another kind of structure. So then it comes into the tech stack level, where the developers need to adapt these different kinds of replies and responses that we receive from the API calls, and we adapt our platforms to identify these correct structures. However, there are other operators which do not provide any kind of this programmatic interface. They just provide a web interface, so the same interface that is being seen by the user on the browser. So we need to create those that are called scrapers that mimic a user behavior, log into the portal, click the different menus, report link, campaign, status, etc. And we fetch the information from them. And we are normalize that data and we store it in a central location. There are others who don't even provide that kind of interface. They provide us with a spreadsheet on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. And obviously that information then will need to be inserted into the platform. If it's done manually, you're increasing the risks of mistakes. So we try to create importers with the structure of that Excel sheet. So the user just uploads that Excel sheet and then it's parsed and the data is stored correctly. The more information we are provided and that has in a timely fashion, that comes in a timely fashion, obviously it's very important for the campaign managers to optimize their campaign. Because if we change campaigns on a weekly basis, we're seeing that maybe a campaign hasn't been successful or it's bleeding money. So we need to make sure that every day, or even multiple times a day sometimes, we need to adapt to what is converting and what not. If a campaign is converting because we did a good banner, or another campaign is not converting because people are not liking that particular banner or they are not clicking, we need to stop the non-converting campaign and we increase budget on the converting one. If you keep the budget open on the non-converting, then you're losing money. So that is why the more information that the operator provides us, the more optimization for the campaign. And it's also a win-win situation because for the affiliates, they are converting, but for the operator, they are receiving players that are actually converting and their lifetime value will increase. So they need to work together, both affiliates and operators, to make sure that everyone, all stakeholders, let's call it that way, are happy.
How can first-party data improve tracking accuracy and using transparency at the same time?
More information that is provided to the affiliate, the more can be optimized to get better players. Some operators are afraid to give certain information, or they hide certain information from the affiliates, which obviously leaves the affiliate in a blind position. Either it becomes guesswork, or else they prefer to switch to an operator who gives them all the information that are required. So it's not only sometimes a player has deposited and that's it. It's also if the player continued playing. So we see the lifetime value and we know that that particular source is providing us with players that are actually good players and they retain and keep on playing. So between players, even it varies the quality. So for us and also for the operator, it's very important that we receive information in a timely fashion, that the information is, let's say, close to precise, rather than they tell us we have 20 FTDs, but instead of 20 FTDs, they tell us only 5 have qualified. This normally comes either after a manual process that they do a reconciliation from the backend of the operator, but it's very important that these terms are set before while the deal is being drafted. So they would say, look, the operator, as an operator, we will give you FTDs, which are the deposits, but they are not yet confirmed as qualified. The qualified, we confirm them every week or every evening of the particular day for the previous days. So these terms are very important to be clarified before even started sending traffic. So if there is some requirement from the affiliate who may be asked for particular data or more information, if the operator is ready to give that particular data, then it's listed in the IO contract to make sure that both parties stand to what was promised during the discussions.
How does platform stability affect affiliate tracking performance?
A tracking platform is very important because it will monitor, it will assign a click ID to every click that is being passed through it. There are different tracking platforms and also the usage of for what it's being used. So let me clarify a bit this one. In SEO, the clicks are low, but the intent of conversion is higher. So if someone goes on a comparison page, it's because he has the intention to play. So he is comparing between one casino and the other, and then he picks one, and from there, it takes him to the operator. The bonus details are usually done or placed already in the review, and he opens the account and plays over there. So the flow between the website, the SEO website, and the operator, it's quite good. On the other hand, in paid media is more showing ads, which are paid on a CPM basis, cost per mil. And if I don't have the intention to play, I just keep on scrolling down on the page. So in that sense, each ad that is being shown, it's firing an impression. And that impression is passing through the tracking platform. So if a user actually clicks the banner, there is the full tracking from where the actual player came. So in terms of paid media affiliation, the volumes are much higher and the platforms need to be able to cope with this kind of volume. So the intention, as we discussed earlier about the data that needs to pass from operator and affiliate, needs to be decided during the beginning of the discussion. So look, what is the target for this deal? Is it for PPC traffic? Is it for SEO traffic or Facebook? Or is it coming from paid media? Because if the operator doesn't have the capacity to handle, let's say, 1 million clicks per day, obviously it's going to hinder his performance, it's going to bring down the tracking platform that the operator has, and it's going to create friction between the affiliate and the operator because the affiliate has flooded the tracking platform. So in that case, if the operator is aiming for paid media traffic, he needs to make sure that this kind of platform supports volume and floods, let's call it that way. Because if there is a particular game that's going to start at 7 in the evening, usually ads come up at 6:30, 6:45. So the flood of users are going to come in during that particular window. So it's very important to be able to cater for this one. Every minute, every second that the tracking platform is down, it's losing tracking from users that are passing through the system. So that means loss of revenue, loss of attribution. And it's very important that in terms of paid media, whoever is spending money to send traffic to the operator, that particular user arrives then at the destination, which is registration and deposits on the particular operator.